My name's Ryan, and I'm 33 years old. Christmas used to be my favorite time of the year. Lights on the porch, cinnamon in the air, and for a few hours, the world felt softer. Or at least it used to. Things started shifting in my family about 3 years ago, but last Christmas was when the dam finally broke. And yeah, it broke right over my head. I pulled into the driveway just before 6, a little nervous but hopeful. I had a wrapped bottle of wine under one arm. Something nice, something aged, not the grocery store kind, and a batch of homemade cookies I'd stayed up until 2 a.m. baking. I even wore the red sweater my mom used to love, the one she said made me look like someone who'd host a Hallmark special. It was supposed to be a warm gesture, a peace offering maybe. I hadn't been around as much the past couple years, not since Mom passed, and truth be told, things with the family had gotten tense. My sister, Melanie, blamed me for not coming to visit enough. My Aunt Doreen always had a bone to pick, usually about how I thought I was better than the rest of us since I moved out of town for work. But I figured, Christmas is Christmas. We could all set our egos aside for one night, right? Apparently not. I rang the doorbell. Through the frosted glass, I saw movement, shadows, laughter. Someone peeked through the curtains and then quickly shut them again. A second later, the door swung open. There stood Aunt Doreen in all her passive-aggressive glory, glittery reindeer sweater, wine glass in hand, and that unmistakable look of disdain she reserved just for me. "Oh," she said flatly, not even trying to hide her annoyance. "You actually showed up." I gave her a polite smile. "Merry Christmas, Aunt D." She looked over her shoulder, then back at me with a sigh like I'd tracked mud across her white carpet. "We don't want you here. Go ruin someone else's holiday." Her voice was low, but sharp, like a whisper that still managed to cut through bone. I blinked. "What?" She leaned in closer, her expression not changing. "This is a family gathering. You made it pretty clear the last few years that you're not part of this family anymore." I tried to peer past her, into the living room. There they were, my cousins, my uncles, even my dad. They were all sitting around the long table, golden and warm under the chandelier. Melanie was pouring gravy onto her plate, laughing at something Uncle Joe said. Dad was carving the turkey like nothing was wrong. No one had looked up. No one had come to greet me. They all knew I was out here. I don't know how long I stood there, stunned. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but all that came out was a short breath. "I see," I said finally. And I meant it. I saw everything. I turned, walked down the steps, and didn't look back. My cookies slipped a little in the tray, but I steadied them. I didn't run, didn't slam the gate. Just walked back to my car, as the snow started falling in fat, wet flakes. The kind that melted instantly but still carried that quiet hush, like the world itself was holding its breath. I sat in the car for a second, gripping the steering wheel. It wasn't anger yet. Not sadness, either. Just a kind of hollow weight in my chest. I'd driven 2 hours. I'd rehearsed what I'd say to Dad. I even brought a gift for Melanie's newborn, even though she never responded to my message when I congratulated her. It would have been easy to cry, easier still to rage. But I didn't do either. I just whispered, "Got it," and started the engine. I was barely 5 minutes down the road when my phone started buzzing. First one call, then another. I ignored them, let them go to voicemail. I didn't want to hear it. Whatever excuse, whatever lie, none of it would change the look on Doreen's face when she said what she said. None of it would erase the image of my whole family, gathered in the warm glow, acting like I never existed. Then came the 10th call, Dad. I finally answered, if only out of morbid curiosity. "Ryan." His voice was shaky. There was noise in the background, doors slamming, voices raised. "Yeah," I said calmly. "Where are you?" "On my way home." "What?" He didn't answer right away. I could hear Melanie in the background, saying something I couldn't make out. Then, muffled, "He's not picking up, Dad. Just let it go." But Dad didn't let it go. "Turn around. Please. Something's happened." "Something's happened," I repeated slowly. "What exactly?" "Did the turkey dry out?" He ignored the jab. "Ryan, just come back. Please. You need to come back." I almost laughed. "You need me to come back now? After your sister told me to ruin someone else's holiday?" Dad exhaled heavily, like he was wrestling with himself. "I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know she said that. I didn't even know you were at the door until 10 minutes ago." There was a thud, like he was moving fast, maybe grabbing a coat. I heard wind. Then footsteps. "Where are you now?" he asked. About 10 minutes away. What? I'm coming to get you, he said. Just stay where you are. Please, Ryan. Don't hang up. I didn't answer right away. Then I saw headlights behind me in the rearview mirror. Someone had pulled out of the driveway in a rush. That's when I realized my dad had left. He'd physically left the house on Christmas night. I'd never seen him do that. Not once. He was the guy who carved the turkey, passed the rolls, gave the toasts. The centerpiece of the whole thing. Ryan, he said again, breathless now. Wait for me. And just like that, the hollow in my chest started to twist. Not into hope. No, not yet. But into something else. Because I suddenly had a feeling that whatever came next, it wasn't going to be quiet. Or easy. And what he was about to tell me, that was going to change everything. I pulled into a gas station parking lot about a mile down the road. The place was mostly dark, just the flickering buzz of one overhead light and the glowing red numbers of a lottery sign that hadn't been updated since Halloween. I parked near the edge, right beside an old dumpster, and cut the engine. Snow was settling on the windshield, forming delicate outlines like frostbite lace. I didn't turn on the heat. A minute later, a car swerved into the lot. My dad's silver Subaru. It screeched slightly as it came to a stop beside me. The door flew open, and there he was, jacket barely zipped, one glove on, the other clenched in his fist. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there outside my car, chest heaving. His face was red from the cold, or maybe something else. He looked older, smaller, somehow, under the parking lot lights. I cracked my window. You okay? He nodded, then gestured frantically. Get out. Please. I need to talk to you. Not through glass. I hesitated, but finally stepped out. The wind bit hard. Snow stuck in my hair, melted on my neck. He looked at me like he hadn't seen me in years. And maybe, in a way, he hadn't. She told you we didn't want you there? He asked. His voice was tight, controlled fury, like every word was holding back a wave. She said to go ruin someone else's holiday, I replied. He flinched, just barely. That wasn't us. That wasn't me. I didn't even know you were at the door. I was carving the stupid turkey when Melanie leaned over and whispered, Don't worry, Aunt Doreen handled Ryan. I didn't understand what she meant until it clicked, until I saw the empty seat at the end of the table. I crossed my arms. Handled, huh? He looked sick. Ryan, you have to understand. Ever since your mom passed, Doreen's wormed her way into everything. Holidays. Decisions. She's got this twisted idea that Melanie's the golden child, and you. The embarrassment, I finished for him. Dad didn't argue, which was almost worse. I should have stopped it years ago, he muttered. After your mom died, I let people fill the silence. Doreen filled it the loudest. I could see it in his face. The guilt, the regret. But it didn't erase the years I'd sat alone on Christmas mornings. The birthdays they forgot. The family group chats I was quietly removed from. Why now? I asked. Why chase after me this time? He swallowed. Hard. Because it's gone too far. And because, he paused, suddenly unsure. Because I found something in the kitchen drawer tonight. After you left. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Carefully, like it was sacred. I took it with numb fingers. It was a letter. From my mother. To my son, Ryan. I blinked, eyes suddenly stinging. She wrote it before she died, Dad said quietly. She left it for you. But Melanie and Doreen, his jaw tightened. They must have hidden it. I had no idea until tonight. I was looking for matches to light the extra candles, and there it was. I unfolded it with trembling hands. I won't copy it word for word here. That feels too personal. But in short, it was everything I'd needed to hear. That she was proud of me. That she knew how the others treated me, especially Doreen. That I shouldn't let them make me feel small. That her last Christmas wish was for Dad and me to stay close. That I was not the disappointment they made me out to be. I don't know how long I stood there, just staring at the ink. My dad's voice cut through the silence. She didn't want this family to become what it has. I didn't protect you from it. But I can now. Something shifted in me. Slowly. Painfully. Like a knot that had been tangled for years finally loosening. She left this for me. I murmured. And they buried it. He nodded. Doreen knew what it would do. That's why she kept it from you. I clenched the paper in my fist. And Melanie? He hesitated. She let it happen. She's been listening to Doreen for too long. Of course she had. The favoritism was never subtle. Ever since we were kids, Melanie could do no wrong. And I was the one who wasted potential by choosing art school over law, who didn't rush to get married, who moved out of state. It always baffled me how a family that preached love could be so quick to turn cold when you didn't match the picture frame. My jaw tightened. I need to know the truth. All of it. My dad hesitated, then nodded once. Then come back. Just for a moment. Not to celebrate. To confront. I stared at him. You're asking me to walk back into that house. I'm asking you to let them see what they tried to erase. I didn't answer right away, but I started walking. Back to the car. Back toward the house that had tried so hard to forget me. And in my pocket, I clutched the one thing they couldn't destroy, Mom's words. Her truth. 10 minutes later, we were pulling into the driveway again. Lights still twinkled from the bushes, and the warmth of the house glowed through the windows like a stage set waiting for its final act. But this time, I wasn't standing at the door hoping to be accepted. This time, I was bringing the curtain down. And what happened when I walked through that door? Well, they weren't laughing anymore. The front door creaked open before I even reached it. My dad must have texted someone, because Aunt Doreen was already standing in the hallway, lips pursed and arms folded like I'd shown up uninvited to a funeral. Well, she said, look who's back. I stepped past her without a word. The smell of honeyed ham and baked yams clung to the air, mixing with the low buzz of awkward silence. Every eye in the dining room turned to me as I walked in. Melanie's hand froze mid-bite. Uncle Joe stopped sipping his wine, and even the dog stopped chewing whatever scrap it had stolen under the table. No one said anything. The room held its breath. I looked around the table, letting the silence stretch, letting them stew in it. Then I held up the letter. This, I said slowly, was buried in a drawer. Hidden. Doreen shifted in the hallway, her fingers tightening around the stem of her wine glass. That's private. You had no right. No. I cut in sharply. You had no right. She wrote this to me. Her son. Not to you. Not to Melanie. To me. And you kept it from me. Melanie stood up, half defiant, half uncomfortable. Ryan, you don't even know the full story. That letter, Mom was sick when she wrote it. She wasn't thinking straight. I turned to face her fully. She was thinking clearly enough to say I was being shut out. That you were letting Doreen treat me like a mistake. That Dad needed to step up, and so did you. Her eyes darted toward Dad, who stood silently by the doorway. When she realized he wasn't going to save her, her voice rose just a little. You left. You moved away and ghosted us. I didn't ghost you, I said, my voice low and firm. You shut the door. Repeatedly. I came to Mom's bedside and was told not to stress her out. I messaged you on her birthday. I called you when Dad had that fall. Every time, it was a brick wall. And when I did show up, you made me feel like I didn't belong. Because you never stayed, Melanie shot back, her tone laced with old resentment. You always ran off to your little artsy city life and left the rest of us here to deal with everything. I laughed, not out of humor, but disbelief. You mean you and Doreen? You two practically pushed me out. Every time I tried to reconnect, it was like showing up to a party no one wanted me at. That's when Aunt Doreen spoke again, stepping fully into the room now, her eyes cold and narrowing. Maybe that's because every time you come back, you bring drama. We've done just fine without you. Right? I said, nodding. Which is exactly why you made sure this letter never reached me. Because deep down, you knew the truth. You knew she didn't agree with how you've been running this family. She saw you for what you are. Doreen's jaw clenched. That letter doesn't change reality. We had to keep things together after your mother passed. We needed order. You mean control, Dad said quietly, his first word since we entered. Doreen looked at him, stunned. Excuse me. Dad stepped forward, his voice firm. You took control, Doreen. I let you. That's on me. But hiding that letter? That's on you. The table was dead silent now. My cousins looked around nervously, shifting in their seats. The baby in the bassinet let out a soft coo, the only innocent sound in the whole house. Melanie sat back down slowly, as if her legs had given out. So what do you want, Ryan? You came back just to make a scene. I tilted my head. No. I came back because my dad deserved to hear what his wife wanted. And because I deserved to hear what my mother said to me before she died. I took a step toward the table and gently placed the letter in the center, next to the cranberry sauce no one had touched. And now, I want the truth out there. I want you all to sit with the fact that you tried to erase me from my own family's story. And I want you, Melanie, to look me in the eye and admit that you let it happen. Melanie didn't look up. Her mouth moved like she had something to say, but no words came out. I turned to leave. I wasn't here to beg for forgiveness or to listen to excuses. But just as I reached the threshold, I heard a voice behind me. "Wait," Dad said. "Before you go." He walked over to the table, picked up his wine glass, and raised it slightly. "I think there's one more toast we need to make." I didn't turn around, but I could feel every eye shifting toward him. "To my son," he said, loud and clear. "The one person in this room who didn't pretend everything was fine while letting rot fester under the tablecloth. To the only one here who still knows what family should mean." He set the glass down. No one clapped. No one echoed the toast. I walked back into the snow, the door closing behind me with a soft click. And this time, I didn't feel hollow. I felt something else. A storm brewing. Because I wasn't done. Not yet. I didn't go back to my apartment that night. Instead, I booked a room at a small inn near the lake I used to visit with Mom when I was younger. It was the only place still open on Christmas night, and the woman at the front desk didn't ask any questions, just handed me a key with a soft smile and told me the heater worked well. I thanked her and went to my room, where I collapsed onto the edge of the bed, the silence finally catching up with me. I stared at the letter again, ran my fingers over the words. Every time I read it, I found something new in it, another bit of her voice, her rhythm, her care. She'd ended the letter with, "Don't let them silence you. Not again. The world will try to make you small, but I raised you to know better. I love you. Always. Mom." I sat there for a long time just thinking. The next morning, I took a walk by the frozen lake. The sky was a dull silver, and the air carried that sharp, clean bite of midwinter. My phone buzzed with missed calls, texts, voicemails. Melanie had finally broken her silence. Messages ranging from, "We need to talk," to "You really embarrassed the whole family." I didn't answer. Not yet. I needed to do this my way. When I got back to the inn, I sat down at the little wooden desk by the window, opened my laptop, and started writing. The letter was the first thing I scanned. Then, I wrote a statement to go along with it. Nothing bitter, nothing exaggerated, just facts. The truth. I posted it online, on my private blog that Mom used to follow, and then I emailed the link to every single person who sat at that Christmas table. And then, I waited. The fallout started about 4 hours later. The first person to reach out was my cousin Liam. He wasn't someone I was ever close with, but he'd always been decent to me in that vague, "I'm staying out of it" kind of way. His message was short. "Ryan, I didn't know. I'm sorry. That letter broke me. I should have stood up for you. We all should have." It was the first apology I'd received from anyone in years. The second message came from Aunt Doreen. Unlike Liam's, hers was venom disguised as concern. "You're making a mistake airing dirty laundry like this. Family matters should stay private. Do you really want to cause a rift that can't be healed?" I read it, then deleted it, because the rift wasn't caused by me. It was caused by every slammed door, every withheld invitation, every whisper behind my back. I wasn't creating a divide. I was acknowledging the one that had been there all along. By that evening, Melanie called. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity got the better of me. Her voice was cautious, not angry yet. "Ryan, look, I saw what you posted. That letter. I didn't read the whole thing, but..." "But what?" I asked. "I think we should talk. In person, not online. This is a family matter. You had years to talk," I said. "You had opportunities to call me, invite me to birthdays, thank me for the gifts I sent. You didn't. You buried the one thing Mom left me. And now that people are finally seeing who you are, now you want to talk." There was silence on the other end. "You really want to fix this?" I asked. "Then tell the truth. Publicly. Own it. Own what you and Doreen did. I can't just... I mean, you know how this looks, Ryan. Everyone's judging us now." "Good," I said flatly. "Maybe now you'll understand how I felt every holiday when you all made me feel like a stranger." She didn't call back after that, but others did. More than I expected. My mom's old friend, Clara, messaged me. She hadn't spoken to our family in years. She said the letter moved her to tears, that my mom had always worried about how Doreen treated me, even before she got sick. Apparently, she had begged Clara to stay close to me after her death. But Doreen had intercepted that, too. Told Clara I wanted space. Told everyone I wanted space. They'd rewritten the narrative, and I'd let them, because I didn't know. Until now. A few days later, I returned to the house. Not for Christmas. Not to reconcile. I came with a purpose. Dad met me at the front steps. He looked tired. Tired, but clear-headed. like a man who'd finally opened his eyes after a long sleep. "They're inside," he said. "Melanie, Doreen." Everyone else left. I nodded. "Let's do this." We walked in together. Doreen was pacing the living room, a drink in her hand, like she'd been rehearsing some big speech. Melanie sat rigid on the couch, eyes red from either stress or frustration. I didn't give them a chance to start. "I'm taking legal steps," I said. "I talked to a lawyer." "What you did, hiding my mother's letter, manipulating her communication, possibly intercepting personal mail, it may not be criminal, but it's unethical, and it is grounds for cutting you out of any say in family decisions going forward." Doreen blinked, then laughed once. "Family decisions? You're barely part of this family." "That's funny," I said, "because I just reconnected with 10 relatives who think otherwise, including Aunt Celeste. You remember her? She's flying out next month to see me. First time in 10 years. Apparently, she thought I cut her off. Wonder where she got that idea." Melanie looked away. Dad stepped forward. "Things are going to change, starting now. Ryan's letter from his mother should have been given to him immediately. The fact that you both kept it from him, after everything, means you've lost my trust." "Charles, be reasonable," Doreen said. He shook his head. "No, you manipulated us. You convinced me that my son didn't care, that he was distant by choice. I let you fill that void after we lost her, and I regret it every day." He turned to me. "I'm rewriting the will. Effective immediately." Melanie's head snapped up. "What?" "I don't trust you with anything related to this family's legacy anymore," he said, voice cold. "Ryan's the one who honored your mother's memory. He's the one who told the truth." Doreen sputtered. "You're letting one letter undo everything?" "No," I said. "You did that." I handed her a copy of the letter. "Read it. Really read it. Then ask yourself how someone could ever justify hiding it." I didn't stay for the rest. I walked out of that house for the last time with my head high, the wind crisp against my face, and the sun finally starting to peek out from behind the gray. Weeks passed. True to his word, Dad rewrote the will. We started meeting every Sunday, just the two of us. Slowly, we began repairing the bond that had been strained for far too long. He even came with me to the lake one afternoon in February. We talked about Mom, about who she really was, not the edited version that Doreen had filtered over the years. As for Melanie and Doreen, they tried damage control, a few weak attempts at reconciliation, a public post from Melanie about forgiveness that didn't mention my name once. But most people saw through it, and I didn't care, because I finally understood something. Family isn't about blood. It's not about who shows up to dinner or shares your last name. It's about who stands beside you when the truth comes out. And thanks to that letter, my mother's final gift, I found my voice again. They tried to lock the door on me, but I walked through it anyway. And this time, I made sure it slammed shut behind me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.